In this video, we're going to be having a look at economies themselves and how we think about them. Hello and welcome to another ACY Securities market tutorial. My name is Alistair Schultz and I'm going to be a host through today's trading journey. In today's videos, we're really looking at what economies do across the globe and how we can start thinking about them and what effects it might have on the market. We are going to look at a variety of different figures, but this is really just an introduction video to help you get set up. I will be looking at a number of other elements along the way, and in the next series of videos that do come out, I will be looking at each economy in greater detail. But for today, let's just give you a generalized understanding of how we build a picture in our head about what might affect an economy. The first thing to really consider is the macroeconomic side of things. Now, there are a lot of macroeconomic indicators that we do tend to look at. Some of those might include GDP, growth rates, inflation, and a variety of others, all of which you can see on the screen behind me right now. But not all of them will impact at the same time, but we do need to keep an eye on what's happening with them and put a bit of a comparison in place. Now, as we do think about these things, we need to consider both sides of the story. If we're trading on currencies, then we're looking at two different economies. If we're thinking about stocks, then it's really comparing about what happens on one stock company to another, and whether they are relatable to some degree or comparable in some degree. So from here, we're going to move on to the next thing. The first big thing I always look for is who trades with who. Is that economy trading with a particular partner more dominantly than another? What are they particularly trading for those sort of goods? And are there any tariffs around it? They are some of the key points that we sort of look at this point in time. The next one to look at is what are they actually trading? Do they have a commodity-based country? Are they someone who deals with more services? Are they a financial hub? What are they actually trading? How much of it are they trading? And who's buying it? These are really some of the factors that need to be considered because it will contribute towards the levels of GDP and naturally towards their stimulus, their growth, and how the rest of the economy might move forward over the next 12 months or even over greater periods of time. The next thing to really take into account is what the politics are like. Politics, whilst can be frustrating, they do help us to understand what might actually be going within that economy and where the attention might be focused. Not only will we be looking at what's going on for the people on the ground and the general population, but also how it might affect who they trade with, what they're trading, and where their focuses are going to be. So for example, right now we are looking at a lot of politics that are revolving around this idea of environmental and social good. So we can assume that a lot of these countries are likely going to be incorporating some level of stimulus towards environmentally friendly, renewable sort of energy sectors. Now, to move on from there, the next thing we have to really do is put all that information together. And once we've put all that information together, we can start to formulate a picture in our head about one economy. Then we have to do it again for another economy. Now we've got two economies, we can understand the picture behind the scenes and start putting them together to really understand and compare why something might fluctuate in a market's conditions to change how it prices. Now, when we do move forward from all of these sort of things, you start to find what works for you. Naturally, places like Europe are going to be a little bit harder to deal with because of the amount of politics that are in there. You've got a number of different nations all working together. So it does leave it with a bit of an interesting basket and it requires a little bit more research. So I would recommend that you start with the things that you know. Whether that be the country that you live in or perhaps a near neighbour, start with something that's easy. Start with the ones that you do know and then move on to ones that are a little bit simpler or similar. And then you can start to look at how it might fluctuate on prices, currencies, futures markets, commodities, or even stocks, depending on what the circumstances are, about how they might change, how far they might go, and whether it's going to be a negative effect or a positive effect for the value. Now, of course, if there's anything that you've liked from today's video, please feel free to get in contact with me. My email is at talk2al@acy.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe this video so you can get more great content from me and ACY Securities in the future.